I've been following all things Sam Bankman-Fried and the fall of FTX, so I figured what better than to do a reaction to a criminal lawyer and his take on Sam Bankman-Fried. So this is actually a reaction to a reaction. This is Bruce Rivers, fantastic content creator. Go check him out. I'm going to put a link to this video, the original video, in the description. You got to go check him out. He's straight up no chaser.
Let's get down to Sam Bankman-Fried. Now let's talk about a couple different concepts here. First of all, so he gave an interview to Andrew Ross Sorkin. Andrew Ross Sorkin is one of the financial gurus on CNBC. He is talking to Sam. Now Sam, come on man, don't snitch on yourself because that's what you're doing here. Let's play a little bit of this.
Now that's something I've been saying. I've literally been saying this whole time. All that stuff about going on TV, it's not helping.
Interview, and I'll react to it on the other side here. This is hilarious, actually.
I worked at a bank and was a bank teller, and I decided to leave the bank at the end of the evening and take the cash that I ostensibly had access to, even if I intended to bring it back to the bank later, even with more money to give them back, I still stole the money.
See, now look at his right arm there. His right arm's shaking like a leaf. He should not be doing any interviews.
There you go. Told you should not be doing interviews.
I mean, look, I wasn't running Alameda. I didn't know exactly what was going on. I didn't know the size of their position.
I didn't know.
How in the world, right, if you are over the whole organization, is that going to be your way out? I just didn't know. You should have known, right? Regardless of the organization, not saying you can know everything, but when we're having tons of money moving from place to place, that's at least one thing you should know.
That's not an answer. It's not a legal excuse. Oh, I'm sorry, Your Honor. I forgot that armed robbery was against the law. No, it doesn't fly.
A lot of these are things I've learned over the last month that I learned as I was sort of frantically digging into this.
Why was you frantically looking at something? My. Because you know you f***ed up?
November 6th, November 7th, November 8th. Obviously that's a pretty big mistake on Mark. That's a pretty big oversight that I wasn't more aware. I think I was...
Sorry for my mistake and that it lost billions of dollars. Just forgive me, please.
Scared of... I was nervous because of the conflict of interest.
These are statements that will be shoved squarely up his ass when he goes into court. Now, let's talk about where he's at and where things are at with him.
And as far as a mistake,
stop the cap.
I don't believe it.
A couple things that are going on right now. So he took $546 million from the hedge fund, Alameda, and they bought a stake in Robinhood. So that's $500 million, right? And then he took money from FTX and then tried to pump up Alameda. In other words, he's taking pots of money from people that don't belong to him and doing whatever he wants with them. And that's what Andrew Ross Sorkin was saying is, if I work at the bank and I take out $1,000 and it's not my money, it's not my account, but I just take it out of the cash drawer, and then I bring back $1,100 tomorrow, well, I still stole the money for that time period, right? So he is absolutely and I don't mean that lightly. These are big numbers that we're dealing with here.
Yep.
Now, he was in the Bahamas and he got extradited to the United States. We have a treaty with the Bahamas. And so what that means is, they issue an arrest warrant. The Bahamas gets the arrest warrant and detain him and then hold him there for the U.S. authorities. U.S. authorities come and pick him up, bring him to a U.S. court.
And that's something I recently pointed out. Little did he know at the time that he was allowing for the extradition to happen, that Caroline Ellison and Gary Wayne had already signed the plea deal, which meant he was pretty much up the creek.
When he got to the U.S. court, he said he only had $100,000 to his name, but somehow he was able to make $250 million bail. Now, when you have a fraud this big, which is in the billions, you have...
And by the way, as far as him making that bail, he probably just didn't realize, or at least at this point hadn't realized that he basically had to pay nothing. His parents put the money up or put their house up. No money was put up.
Everybody's trying to glob onto whatever assets there are. And so this $400 million asset that, position in Robinhood, he's trying to claim those are my assets because I need money for my legal fees. These lawyers who are taking the case, they better be awfully careful about sourcing the funds that they are charging their client, because if those funds come from one of the victims or can be traced back to the victim, or into a pot of money that can be traced back to a victim, those lawyers are going to have to cough back up those fees. There's a thing called clawback.
Ooh, clawback. Kevin O'Leary is the clawback king. The clawback king, Mr. Clawback. So that's something I've also described in another video, but we'll move forward.
So when you have a large fraud scheme, like in Madoff, or here in Minnesota, there was the Petters scam. When you have so they try to take whatever assets they can to try to make people whole. And let's say somebody got paid over there. Well, this was all part of a fraud. You weren't entitled to it. We're going to claw that back, and now you're and we're going to try to give this out to the people who were actually victimized. God, this guy is just really not a good looking
for the clawback,
and he needs a haircut bad. So the guidelines on, I mean, he's really looking at life, because the guidelines really only go up to about 400 million. But this is on par with just about any kind of fraud scheme in U.S. history. It's right up there with Madoff. So where does he sit? He's on home monitoring. He's got a bracelet on his ankle, and he's sitting there with mommy and daddy in their California home. He's got arraignment on January 3rd.
Still don't know how he pulled that off. Honestly, I get when we talk about connections, but when you put a bail out there or a bond, for $250 million and no one has to put a dollar up, man, it's amazing. I don't even know what to say. But as I pointed out before, they say that has to do with the fact that he allowed extradition because he simply might not have came back. So although what I saw going on in the prison or the jail he was sitting in, no way that he was going to end up staying there. I think even if he knew he was going to do 100 years, he would rather get out of there and come back, the way that his parents were pushing for him to get vegan food.
And what an arraignment is, two things happen at the arraignment. Basically, it's where you enter your not guilty plea. They can read you the complaint, and then you enter a plea.
Which by now he has entered a not guilty plea, which I was in disbelief.
Those are the two things that happen, or not the complaint, but the indictment. And but usually you waive reading of the indictment and your rights, and then you enter your not guilty plea. Then they set it up for the motions hearing, and then a pretrial, and then trial. That's kind of the life of a criminal case in the federal system. And there'll probably be all kinds of motions, and this will be a heavily documented case. So it will be literally thousands upon thousands and thousands of documents. Not only that, it'll also be a situation where it'll be very, very complicated, and it won't be simple to the average Joe. So the prosecutors are going to have to spell out exactly what he did and when he did it. The thing about this is that there's no denying documentary evidence. In other words, the documents don't lie. And
Kevin O'Leary's been asking, where are the documents, right? They're saying a lot of stuff is lost, but you know what? With all the information and the flipping, right, that Caroline and Gary Wang have done, I would not be surprised if some documents start to show up.
The money's not there. So where did it all go? I mean, he can't just take money from his corporation that he promised to other people, deposits that he was holding for people, and just use that money for political contributions, which he did in the tens of millions of dollars. You can't just use that money to go buy a stake in another venture, unless the people know what you're doing, and they didn't.
He bought stake in a whole lot of ventures, a whole lot of them.
He used his company's funds like a piggy bank, and you can't do that. And with the guidelines that he's looking at, I'm actually surprised with the trip to the Bahamas, with the guidelines that he's looking at, that he was able to get released. You get the average Joe who's got a gun case, who can't afford squat. He's not getting out, and he's only looking at 5 years. You get this son of and he gets out on what, $250 million bond? Where the did he get that? So
that is the exact questions that I was asking. How in the heck? And then the details came out, obviously, that his parents put the put the spot out, put the spot up in Palo Alto.
Guys, I guarantee you he's got money hidden all over the place. And then you got him all over. You can Google all these.
A lot of that was lost to trading, I believe, and then there's got to be other money out there.
Different interviews, and you can see himself snitch. And every single one of these interviews, he doesn't come off like he knows what he's doing. He doesn't come off slick. He comes off like a moron. But when you look at the trail that the prosecutors are going to paint for him from one to the other, he's going down.
All the articles previous, how brilliant he was. This was the next Steve Jobs, the next Elon. But obviously, those days are gone.
He's going down. He's going down hard. So, and then I think that his former girlfriend who was running Alameda, she's going down as well. One of his business partners already pled guilty on this case. So we'll see. And
he may not know at this point that she had already copped a plea. So, as far as how bad she goes down, that is, what is the question right now. And by the way, if you want to know about that plea deal, just check out the link above. I actually did a video on that yesterday.
Next time here on Criminal Lawyer Reacts, it's just a quick update on Sam Bankman-Fried. Not super sexy, but he's not super sexy either. So we'll see you next time. Criminal Lawyer Reacts. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter. Make sure you subscribe to Patreon, and we'll see you next time here.
Yo, go check him out. The Criminal Lawyer, Bruce Rivers. Very good content creator. I love just seeing someone keep it real. Bruce Rivers always does that. Shout out to you, and continue doing what you're doing.